guys, Lee and Michelle coming at you Sunday afternoon. Well, it'll be evening by the time this is up. It is March 26, 2017. We want to bring you a little bit of our local news. We always bring you world news and national news.
It's on the BBC, InfoWars.
And why? Why is this happening? Why
I don't
is
understand.
It
I think
shootings
that
happen all the time.
On Twitter, at first I read it. I heard about there's a shooting in our local nightclub. It's like 15 minutes from our house. In a part of town that's not necessarily
awesome,
but at the same time, it's not really
not horrible. It's just
it's on the river,
yeah.
But people go down there all the time and do.
It's on a street locally that we call Kellogg Avenue. It's a street that has several different names, but that's the one that's.
Yeah, I brought up the address here. So near Coney
For those
Island.
that are local, it was by Lunken Airport and Coney Island. We have a little Coney Island.
Yeah, it's right on the river. It's just
in the East End.
It's actually not that bad of an area per se. We canoe on that river. It's not like downtown.
Right. It's on the way.
It's on the way downtown.
So anyway, there was a fatal shooting that apparently that we're going to get to it in a minute, but they're saying that it was just kind of like a fight that excelled into something bigger.
Right. So
but usually bar fights or nightclub fights don't. You go to blows. You don't go to.
Yeah.
Shooting.
This is a thug thing. So it's not a terror thing, but we're gonna cover it because we're here now. And
right.
So I guess what happened was there was some words and then guns came out. Okay, and just started
16 people ended up being shot as a result of this. I mean that's an astronomical amount because I know that they were saying that I don't know how many shots were fired, but it does say that 16 people were shot.
Right.
You're not going to hit a person with every single shot, so there was more than 16 shots fired.
This is a well-known. If you go to their Facebook page, it's known to be.
It's called the Cameo Night Club.
It's known to be a thug place. It's known to have violence.
We and I go there on Friday nights to hang out with all of our dudes.
Saturday night, it was a very, very young crowd. We have had incidents here in the past, but this is by far the worst. Good.
No kidding.
16 people shot, 1 died. Several officers were working security detail at the club. From what I understood, one of the girls there said that they weren't doing pat-downs, they weren't doing wandings, which I guess that they normally do. So the biggest problem when you have a large crowd like this and shots ring out, a lot of the witnesses disappear, and I guess
I ain't getting in no trouble. I ain't gonna talk to no cops.
They don't have anybody right now in custody. It's just one thing they're really good about is getting out of there.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I wanted to take you to just a few minutes of the
press conference.
Yeah.
Good morning. Let me begin by offering my thoughts and prayers and condolences to the individuals that were the victims of this act of violence that took place in our city last night. I want to begin by also stating to keep in mind that this investigation is only 8 hours old. There are a lot of questions that we're still exploring. We won't be able to answer everything, but we'll give you what we know up to this point. With me this morning is the Mayor, John Cranley, the Acting Fire Chief, Roy Winston, Council Member
Mr. Sanctuary City himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette Simpson, my command staff, the special agent in charge be with us, but I've been in contact with him throughout the night and the morning, and he's fully aware of what's taking place. Let me begin by saying last night at about 1:30 a.m., our emergency communications section began receiving calls that shots had been fired with injuries inside the Cameo's Nightclub, which is located at 4601 Kellogg Avenue in District 2. As the night unfolded and the initial investigation began, it was determined that the bar was very crowded, approximately a couple of hundred people. And what we know at this point in the investigation, several local men got into some type of dispute inside the bar, and it escalated into shots being fired from several individuals. As a result, there were 16 people that sustained gunshot injuries, one of which is deceased.
Wow.
A total of 15 others that were injured, one in extremely critical condition. In addition to that, several others more serious injuries, and some very minor and were released.
Like being hit.
The individual
other
that was deceased at the scene has been identified, and his family has been notified. Mr. O'Brien Spikes, a male, 27 years of age. Some additional information that I can tell you about the incident. This is a very large establishment. They do employ off-duty police officers to patrol the parking lot. They are required or responsible for the internal security themselves. It is my understanding that they do wand individuals and pat them down. However, what we know at this point, several firearms were
No kidding.
able to be brought inside the bar. Our criminal investigations section is handling the investigation, and keep in mind again, there are multiple witnesses. There's a lot of information still coming in. We're still processing evidence from the scene.
So that's kind of it. They kind of keep going on. I wanted to just read the article here. Some of the victims were taken to area hospitals. Others arrived on their own conveyance. Just got to go to the hospital. We are in the middle of a very horrific situation that occurred at the nightclub with multiple victims. It's going to be a long night for our homicide units to investigate. This was a chaotic crime scene. Wanted to just play, they have a short little video here on Twitter.
So then I would probably be able to accommodate.
Probably, you know, a lot of people running, driving away, not sure if they should stay, not sure if they should be witnesses, or, you know, probably a lot of underage people weren't supposed to be there. So surveillance cameras were inside the club at the time of the shooting, and investigators are viewing the tapes right now. So Cameo Night Club has had several issues in the past. The club allows admission to anyone over 18 on certain days and is open until 4 a.m. on Saturdays.
That's crazy.
Um,
Which I'm sure they cut off selling alcohol at 2. I'm just certain of that.
Police said there were 2 shootings at the nightclub in 2015, one on New Year's Day when someone was shot in the foot. Let's see, they're offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to arrest.
Well, actually, go back to that. Just where it was at. That's actually the restaurateur, Jeff Ruby, that's offering that reward. And he seems to be kind of this philanthropist, always wanting to throw money around. The other day, he was offering steak dinners to all of, I think, the UK students or whatever for bats. If the team were to win or something like that, he's going to give steak dinners for like all of the whole college. I mean, this guy, I don't really, have an opinion about him one way or the other, but it's not like that $10,000 reward is coming from the city or anything like that. That's it's coming. He owns a couple of different restaurants in our town. They're very posh, sophisticated restaurants. So he's the one that's offering the reward there. He's always very involved in the city. I just wanted to throw that out there for those of you that didn't know.
So one of the people inside said security guard was just taking money. He wasn't patting people down. He was just accepting the money, telling people there is a no-wait line. They were paying $40 to $60 to get in that line. Johnson, a Chicago resident and Cincinnati native, was in town visiting family. Her boyfriend said he had a bad feeling about Cameo before the gunfire erupted. We had left for Chicago to get away from all that.
But you're still going to go to nightclubs.
And then Governor Kasich bemoaned CNN State of the Union. You wonder, where is it safe to go? So
it says the city manager, Harry Black, said that deadly confrontation started between 2 groups earlier, well before the combatants had reached the Cameo. So there's a possibility that this had been something like a conflict that was before they even got there. You know what I mean? They're entering into this place and it's already heated. It's already, you know, something going on. So I think that might play into it a little bit.
It was a big gun because you could hear it over the music.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's running. Everybody's scattered to get out of the club. 4 police officers were at the nightclub working as security guards, 2 at the entrance and 2 more in the parking lot. It's just a lot of chaos.
I love what Mayor John Cranley says, and I'm not a huge fan, obviously, of Mr. Mayor Sanctuary City. He says, people were just going to have a good time and they get shot. That is totally unacceptable. So this is the kind of nightclub where you know that there's a risk to be taken. It's kind of like riding a motorcycle. I'm not going to tell you not to get on that bike, but you know when you get on that bike, whether you're wearing a helmet or not, bad things could happen to you.
Okay, so I kind of want to...
It's not that hang on, I don't want to sound callous for the victims and for what happened. I don't want to sound like that at all, but I do think that people sometimes need to take responsibility in a situation like this. It's not like they were going to a movie theater. But still, my deepest condolences are for the victims and for obviously the person that got shot. That's horrible. It's horrific. This should never happen, period.
Well, I wanted to bring it to, Donald Trump had said in his debate with Hillary Clinton, you look at our inner cities, you look at them, they have a lot of problems. And
she's
Hillary
like,
Clinton
no.
shot back and said, look at, why are you going against the cities? It's like, she's like, no, our cities are fine. She's painting this picture like Donald Trump is some big bad guy painting our inner cities as some gang-ridden thug life where you have horrible education. You are stuck in a sardine of a city with nowhere to go. You know, we've talked about this over and over again. The inner cities are a move from the plantation to this inner city where you live in the cycle, you get horrible education, you get on welfare, and it just starts over and over, and the housing is awful, and you don't have fresh air, you don't even know where your food comes from, you don't have trees, you can barely see the stars. I mean, it's like...
And there's a lot of white people in our inner cities. This is not a race issue. They all end up the same, no matter what color that you are.
Right, and it's part of a bigger picture. I mean, you know, we're resistance chicks, so we always talk about the bigger picture.
Right.
The bigger picture is the government has legislated us off of the farm, stuck people left the farm, left being out on the farm, moved to the inner cities for promises of jobs. There's no jobs, and they get promises of welfare, so then they get stuck on welfare. Then they start having lots of kids, and then there was, obviously in the 1960s, there was... The government incentivized single parenthood, where if you were married,
you didn't get the benefits.
So people actually put off being married, but there's a psychological component to children who have a married mother and father.
Right.
So it's well known that 80% of black children are born in a single mother home, and our jails are filled with black children from single parent homes, because one of the reasons is our government incentivized single parenthood, and there's just something that when you have a stable family, then children grow up stable.
And like Leah was saying, because of the leftists always saying there's nothing wrong with our inner cities, we have to be able to identify it and say this is wrong. There is something that needs to be addressed and it needs to be fixed. I don't particularly know the answer outside of farming and Jesus Christ, but whatever Donald Trump has up his sleeve, I would be more than welcome. I would be more than happy to take a look at and see what he's got for it. So I think that wraps it up. This is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications and find us on Facebook and Twitter. We love you guys. God bless.
I was cold all alone, no place for home, every day so afraid, but you called my name.